So this spot of news just came out of nowhere today. Yeah, so we've got a new crossover out of DC Comics coming soon, which is another He-Man DC Universe crossover. If you guys remember, this isn't the first time they've done this. But this time it's a little different, in that it's in a different DC universe. It's in part of the vast DC universe. The first time it was back in DC Comics Present with Superman taking on He-Man. Then, later on in New 52, the first crossover they really had was with a He-Man versus DC Universe crossover. And now DC Universe and He-Man are crossing over again, but this time it's He-Man and Injustice. That's right, it is the Injustice Universe crossing over with He-Man. Yeah, I'm really excited for this. This is also, the creative team behind this is really awesome. The creative team this time around will be Tim Seeley of, most of you guys will know him from DC right now, for doing Nightwing, and he's also doing a few other things for DC, but he was doing Nightwing in Rebirth, and I think his run is still going on, or it's ending, can't remember which, and the artwork is done by none other than Freddie Williams III. Which is awesome. Freddie Williams, you guys probably know him best for doing not only the Batman TMNT crossover, both of them, but also doing the He-Man Thundercats crossover, and now he's going to be drawing this one. I feel like if you want a really good crossover and really have good art to it, you get Freddie Williams III, because that dude really knows how to make a page pop. Especially in the He-Man Thundercats crossover, where there were so many pages in that book that looked so much like a poster I would put in my room. Oh my god, that looks so good. Anywho, so like I said earlier, this is not the first time He-Man has crossed over with the DC Universe. There was, of course, the time He-Man fought Superman in DC Comics Present number 85, I believe. And that was a scheme by Skeletor and Lex Luthor. Then, later on, there was the crossover with the ongoing that James Robinson was writing for He-Man, which it crossed over with the New 52 era of the DC Universe. So, yeah. But Injustice brings a whole new level in that, this is a Superman that doesn't hold back. This is a Superman that kills. However, if you're going to have someone go toe-to-toe with an unrestrained Superman, you go for the guy who can not only wound him, but probably take him on in a fight. Remember, He-Man has actually fought Superman to a standstill twice, and the Sword of Grayskull can actually wound him. Because, yeah, He-Man is magical, and one of the major weaknesses of Superman is magic. So, if you're going to have a guy who can go blow for blow with Superman, an evil Superman, yeah, you get the guy who could probably make him bleed. And I'm not talking Batman. So, not much is known about this crossover, other than, and in fact, I don't even know where, they didn't, at least in the article I read, it didn't specify as to when in the Injustice timeline it could be. I think, I'm like 90% sure that this is like set during the 5-year timeline before Gods Among Us, but I could be wrong, and it could be set in like in between, it could be set in between the DC, the two, it could be set in that 5-year gap between, Injustice 1 and 2. So it could be that, but I'm like 90% sure it's that one. But it's probably set during that 5-year time gap, but I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong on that. So yeah, He-Man versus Injustice League Superman. I can only imagine what's going to happen in here, because yeah, could you imagine those two throwing down in, unrestrained in here? Because I've kind of noticed that He-Man, especially in these comics, is a little more in-your-face and willing to kill. So, yeah. Among other things, there are so many possibilities for team-ups in here, because this is Batman's team going to Eternia. So, who could be in here? I mean, in this image, we've got, Batman and Harley Quinn, standing with Teela, Orko, and Battlecat. So I'm wondering who else could we see in here. I would like to see Green Lantern and Man-at-Arms hang out. Those two would be really cool together. Harley Quinn hanging out with, Harley Quinn and Orko. Not a team-up I didn't know I wanted, but now that I do, I really want to see just Harley Quinn and Orko hang out, and, you know, could you imagine the chaos that would ensue from that? I mean, I know in the Injustice universe, Harley Quinn's a good guy, but still, her messing around with Orko, yeah, that would be amazing. Among other things, like, I would love to see Black Canary, you know, Black Canary and Teela, tongue-tied. Black Canary and Teela team up. I'm trying to think, like, who else, like, who else would be really good? Like, Man-E-Face and, well, maybe, I don't know, like, who would be a good matchup for Flash to team up with, but, again, like, assuming it, well, then again, if this does take place in the 5-year gap, you know, Green Lantern, I just realized that, yeah, if this does take place before the first game, then Hal and Barry would be on Superman's regime. Again, from the article I read, at least, it didn't specify as to where in the Injustice timeline this would take place. But yeah, speaking of other fights, like, could you imagine Teela and Wonder Woman throwing down? That'd be amazing. Not only that, could you imagine the villains in here? I'm really hoping that in terms of villain team-ups or villain fights, I really want to see Skeletor team up, or Hordak, team up with Ares. Because Ares would really love a good war, and Eternia is full of it, and all that dark magic. Or even better, Ares teaming up with well, actually, no, I just said that. Ares and Hordak teaming up. Yeah, Ares and Hordak teaming up would be awesome. Not only that, I'd love to see She-Ra in here. I'd love to see She-Ra. That'd actually be better than Teela fighting Wonder Woman. She-Ra and Wonder Woman throwing down? Yeah, sign me the fuck up for that one. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. The creative team, when they announced, you know, when they said the creative team, I was like, sold. For Tim Seeley and Freddie Williams III. I'm in. Not only that, I've been a huge fan of Tim Seeley since all the way back in his Image work with one of my favorite indie comics, Hack Slash. So I was pumped when he was announced he was going to be writing this. He also wrote another crossover, but that I've been meaning to get, which is a crossover between Tarzan and Planet of the Apes. So I've been meaning to pick that up, and maybe that'll help me gauge better of where it's going to be in terms of crossovers. Also, this does give me a bit of a, thought, and you guys are probably thinking this too, is that with this crossover, could DC and NetherRealm Studios be like low-key telling us that HeMan might be a guest character in a future DLC of Injustice 2? I'm just saying that it would make sense, having it just feels like they're trying to low-key tell us that, hey, do you guys like He-Man? Do you want to see him in Injustice? Well, here you go. And maybe we'll have him as a guest character. Because that would make sense. I mean, you could do the armor power-ups with him. You could do, I can just imagine the combos with him. That'd be just insane. Just straight up a brawling type character? Yeah. So, I would totally be down if this is their way of saying, hey, this may, if this does well, maybe we'll have He-Man as a guest character DLC in Injustice 2, or maybe even like somewhere down the road, like maybe Injustice 3, whenever we get to that. So I am totally on board for this crossover. It's going to start in July, so we've got a couple months before then. But yeah, I'm surprised DC sat on this as long as they did. I guess they were just waiting for the right moment to really just talk about this. So yeah. Like I said, I'm really excited for this. This 6-issue miniseries is going to be awesome. I'm really excited to see, the creative team behind this. They've done no wrong, in my opinion. Again, Injustice version of Superman throwing down with He-Man, that's going to be amazing in and of itself. And seeing all the team-ups and fights in general of how that's going to play out, that's going to be really spectacular in and of itself. Like, I'm really hoping... Like I said, I really want to see, like, Hordak and Ares team up. That would be really cool. Because Ares, if you guys remember, Ares didn't really die. He just kind of, or maybe in the comics they specified of what happened to him after Gods Among Us, so maybe that'll be the case. Raven's also corrupted by Trigon, so maybe have this version of Raven take on Evil-Lyn. No, really, that'd be, now that I think about it, Raven versus Evil-Lyn? Oh, hell yeah. Oh man! But the more I talk about this, the more I'm like, God, I want this crossover now. So I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. What do you guys are you guys excited for this He-Man Injustice crossover? Are you guys excited? Are you guys not? What kind of team ups or fights do you want to see in this crossover? And also, would you guys be down for He-Man and possibly even like someone like Skeletor to show up as a guest character in Injustice 2? Just comment below, let me know, and once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.